But Trevor, you know what time it is?
Yes, it's showtime, Jay.
Well, hey man, you know what that means.
I believe it means it's time to get this thing rocking and rolling, baby.
Well, hey, hit the music and let's go.
All right, let's go. Hello, and welcome to the show. Our show is brought to you by Bringing the Heat Media and 40 Athletes. This show is dedicated to using sports to create positive change. So be ready to get inspired, lifted, and empowered through thought-provoking conversations specific to the world of youth sports with some of the top minds in the game. I'm your co-host, Trevor Rosenthal, MLB All-Star and single-season save record holder for the St. Louis Cardinals, with Jason Holzer, co-founder of 4D Athletes and best-selling author. Jason, what's going on with you? Tell me, what have you been learning about recently?
Well, you know, I've actually been reading a really interesting book, and it's actually your buddy Andy Frischella, and his book, the book on mental toughness, and just kind of being better about being more intentional about where my mind's going, about being more focused. And so it's been really good reading, really interesting reading, and challenging me in new ways. And so I've been really excited about diving into that one. So one of those books, like, you know, you start it, and it's kind of hard to put down, right? So looking forward to reading the next one. So what about yourself, man? What have you been learning recently? Anything exciting, interesting, piquing your interest recently?
Yeah, I love that that you're reading that book. It's something that I found. It's like I have to almost do it daily. I can find myself easily getting off track. The things that I know, you know, I have to continually remind myself to put in the effort and stay on that track. But yeah, I mean, along those same lines, I actually had a really good conversation today with one of my teammate that I had for a little while, and a guy that I've really watched over the years. He's a few years younger. We actually went to the same high school, and he's been an outstanding pitcher. He had an amazing high school career, a collegiate career, and now he's been in the major leagues. And I say we had a conversation because I had to reach out. He had an injury, and he's actually going through surgery. And, you know, it's one of those things that you hate to see it. I've been there, so I know what that feels like. So I wanted to give him a call and just let him know that I'm here if he needs anything, whatever I can do, even if that's not much, just giving him an encouraging word. But I was so just intrigued by his response to me calling. It actually reminded me of a lot of the people that would call me when I was in those situations. And similar to what I would respond, he did the same thing. He's like, yeah, man, like, he's telling me that, you know, it's all going to be okay. I already have a plan. These are the things I'm going to focus on. This is how I'm going to come back better than ever. I just love that. And I think that's what our show is all about, right? Like, to be able to compete at any high level, you have to be able to take those challenges and know and believe that you can overcome them. And it's cliche to say, right? But sticking to the process. And throughout my experience of playing in the major leagues, every bona fide major league player has a process. They're not worried about the results. They're just going to get to work, and they're going to do the best they can. And so, as sad as I was to hear about his injury, I was just amazed to hear his response when I gave him a call today. And so I think we're going to, you know, kind of hit on that subject a little bit with our conversation today. I'm excited to jump into the show. I know we've been having some good conversations lately, and this one is surely not going to disappoint.
Yeah. And, you know, it's cool to like that you be the person inspiring as the one looking to be inspired. So on that flip of the coin, and encourage him to see this obstacle as an opportunity, right? So that's, you know, we all need that. We all know that sometimes, but just reaffirming that, Trev. So great job, man. Great job inspiring somebody else today and lifting somebody else up. And real quick before we get started, who's our shout out today, man?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and shout out our friends at Rawlings Sporting Goods in St. Louis, specifically the Rawlings Experience. It's truly a baseball lover's dream. And if you haven't been there, I highly encourage you to check them out. Check them out on social media. You might even see, if you go and visit, I know you'll see it on social media, but even if you go and visit, you might run into your favorite Major League Baseball player. I know Jason and I recently visited and enjoyed it. We enjoyed creating a custom glove and just taking in all the history that Rawlings has been a part of in the baseball culture. But it seems like every day they have a new Major League Baseball player and they're visiting either on the visiting team in St. Louis or the hometown team, the St. Louis Cardinals. So go ahead and check out Rawlings. They've been really good to us, and we just want to continue to show them some love. Jason, we'll go ahead and introduce, without any further ado, bring in our guest.
Yeah, sure. We got a fellow Bear on today. Go Missouri State Bears. The Bears new head baseball coach Joey Hawkins. He was previously assistant coach at SLU and played for Missouri State. Also spent some time in the Cardinals organization, and he's a young dad too. Trevor, he's in the trenches as well. So we're excited to have him on today. Joey, welcome to the show today. Joey Hawkins joining us. Coach, my first question though is a Springfield specific. You go to Mexican Villa or Cashew Chicken?
Oh, cashew chicken.
Okay.
And,
It's a big topic down there.
I don't know if you've seen it, and shout out to the Springfield Cardinals on this, but the AA team in town, they have cashew chicken jerseys.
Yeah.
That's about as minor league baseball as it gets right there. But no, I'm going cashew chicken for sure.
I think didn't it win like one of the best minor league jersey or most unique? It won an award for like some kind of best jersey award or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. It was pretty creative.
But just wanted to, as somebody that spent a good amount of time in Springfield, just want to get coach's thoughts on Mexican Villa or Cashew Chicken. So, but on to the more important subjects here though. So, first question I want to ask is, in your experience, what are some effective ways that you've either integrated character yourself or seen other people integrate character in youth sports programs, in your college programs, and when you're out there, you're looking for guys to be a part of your program. What are some of the specific traits that you look for in those athletes that are like, yeah, you know what? That's the guy that has the intangibles I need that fit what we're looking for to do here, either if it was at SLU or Missouri State, wherever you've been.
I mean, recruiting is crazy nowadays. It's, you have high school recruiting, you have junior college recruiting, you have transfer portal recruiting. So there's a lot of different ages. But still finding good makeup, finding good character matters in all of them. And for us, we just do a ton of research. We're going to try and get into that player circle. Who are his coaches, who are some people that spent time around him. And for us, like, obvious things, right? Like, we can't have kids who don't work hard. If we're having to spend time trying to get a kid to work hard at this level, it's too late, right? So, the ability to have just a good work ethic, the ability to be a great teammate is so important. So I think you just show up to a ballpark and you watch a kid play, like, you can tell if he's a teammate with what he's doing in between innings or in between at bats, or if he's a pitcher that's not pitching that game. And those things matter to us. And we can dig in a little deeper too, and in terms of what kind of baseball IQ do they have, and what's their passion for the game. Those are the things we value. We want guys that are going to work hard, and we want guys that have big goals. Because when you get to Missouri State, we're gonna help you achieve those things.
I love that. I love that you pointed out being a good teammate, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Talk about creating a positive team culture for both performance and personal growth. But on the teammate subject, I mean, one thing that I heard when I was in high school and moving into the collegiate level and then eventually the pro level, actually from an Arizona State at that time, Arizona State head coach Pat Murphy, who is now the manager for the Milwaukee Brewers. But we had a sit down meeting with him when we were visiting the campus, and he said he told us the best compliment that you can get as a player is that you're a great teammate. And that always stuck with me. And it was something that I really implemented and prided myself on in my game. And people ask me all the time of like, well, what is a great teammate? And you outlined a couple of things, but for me, it's also, no matter what's happening, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, on the field, off the field, the best teammates are the guys that are going to show up and give their best effort for themselves and also for their teammates. And I had a really cool story to see this play out in real time. And it happened around my major league debut. My major league debut, coincidentally enough, happened in Milwaukee. So I'm coming in from the bullpen in the Milwaukee Brewers Stadium, thinking to myself as I'm running in, like, wow, this is just a crazy experience. I can't believe I'm doing this, first of all. But okay, now I got to focus and get to work and face the first couple batters, couple soft bloop hits, guys on first and second. And I'm like, okay, well, these things aren't going as smooth. Like, I kind of dial it in, figure it out. And at that moment, when the ball was coming in from the outfield, our shortstop at the time, Rafael Furcal, 3-time All-Star, World Series champion, guy that I had seen playing on the TV growing up. He accomplished a ton by this point in his career. and he tosses me the ball. He comes real close to the mound, and you could just tell like he had so much energy. He's like, "Hey man, like you got this. Like, let's go. Let's get a ground ball. Hit it to me. We'll turn it over play." And that just blew me away. It was like that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter what your accolades are. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Like that's being a good teammate, and it rubbed off on me. And I was able to use that energy, and I knew the guys behind me were working just as hard as I was on the field at that time, and that was so important. So, talking about this team culture and building it for performance, personal growth. How do you approach this concept, like building, maintaining strong, positive culture within your team? And really, like, what advice would you give to youth coaches aiming to do the same thing?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my experiences is players thrive any level, youth baseball, college or pro, with two things, which is structure and comfort. Right? And how I kind of came to those two things was like being a freshman in college is overwhelming. Maybe stepping into a locker room with men, 22-year-olds, guys that have been in the program and know how it works, and you're the new guy. And then, when I was at pro ball, I didn't have nearly the career you did. I was never the best player on the team or anything. I was constantly jumping rosters, and I was the new guy. And I always valued the teammates that made me feel comfortable, right? And if you think about just in daily life, like if you're in an uncomfortable situation, it's tough to be sharp. You know what I mean? And it's tough to be yourself, and it's tough to be on your game. So those are two areas that we take a lot of pride in, especially like when you recruit a kid, you want him to be comfortable with his decision. So when he gets here, he can be who you recruited, right? And then from the structure side of things, I think that just goes to being, a coach that cares, right? If you care, you're going to put together a good practice plan, or you're going to have the right thing to say at the right time. And that's just coaching in general, no matter what level you're at. But for me, those two things can really help build a strong culture, and it can create a lot of consistency on your team from a day-to-day basis. You're going to have kids and players want to show up and want to perform in that environment.
Joey, we live in a culture that's a very much win-at-all-cost culture. And it's kind of stemming down from high level, like pro, college, and it's going down into our youth levels now too, which whenever you're at Division I, pro, I mean, you're paid to do a job, right? That's one thing. But, youth sports, sometimes it's the overemphasis of winning the tournaments, winning the games, that kind of thing, which can overshadow like the personal growth side of the character development piece because you're just trying to win games.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you balance being competitive, right? Because everybody wants to win. Like you don't play a game and not want to win. Like you want that competitive drive, but also developing the whole person, the well-rounded individual, along with fostering that competitiveness as well. What would your suggestion be on how to balance both of those?
I think number one, you have to have a good definition of what success is. But I mean, like you said, to start that question, I think we're so wrapped up in wins and losses that people think that's the definition of success. And, I couldn't disagree more, right? I think I feel just as much fulfillment on senior day when you're seeing guys graduate and their families are there and you coach these kids as they do when, we win a championship, right? Or we win an exciting game against a Power 5 school. Those things in this industry is about, if you're going to coach, you want to be fulfilled, right? And I think a lot of people just have it wrong with like the definition of success. But for me, I look at success a lot more short term than I do long term. I think there's a lot of wins. You can have wins throughout a day. I just think of conversations I had this season with kids that, whatever, struggling off the field, struggling not with the playing time they want, things at home, and you help them dig out of those holes mentally, and that's a win for me, and that's success, and that's kind of how I choose to look at it. And when I put my head on the pillow each night, I'm happy with the work I'm doing, and it's not so much the scoreboard. The scoreboard matters. Like I'm competitive, I want to win as much as anybody, but I know I'm not going to go 56-0 next year, right? So I can't drive myself crazy trying to have that type of, S-driven wins and loss mindset. You got to find some ways to fulfill yourself as a coach and in your program in different ways other than those win-loss columns.
Yeah, hearing you talk about this, the word that comes to mind is sacrifice. And
Yeah.
fittingly enough, right, you hold the record for sacrifice months at Missouri State. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's gonna ever probably be broken again with the style of play we have. I think I'm like second all the time in NCAA history too, and with where baseball's headed, that's probably gonna be locked in for a little bit.
It's a safe. You hold a safe spot in the record books.
Right, for sure.
Well, I love that though, because I imagine, in that role, you took a lot of pride of putting others first, giving up your at bat for the betterment of the team and the lineup. It's so cool to hear you talk about, the collaborative effort it takes between coaches and parents. And I haven't been in your shoes, but it's my understanding as a collegiate director of baseball, a manager, a coach, there's a lot of recruiting that goes on. So you spend a lot of time in these players' homes, getting to know their families. You mentioned the inner circle. And, I mentioned the story earlier of my friend that I gave him the call, and, he's been in the major leagues and he had an injury and he's going to be on the shelf for the next 12 months. And hearing how his approach is, I'm like, man, there's been influence in his life. Like he's either had parents or coaches that he's seen model this for him. And I know I've been fortunate. My parents, I've watched them, take on challenges and overcome them. I've had important role models in my life all the way through my baseball career. And I'm just wondering, like, for you in sitting in on these conversations with parents, what are you seeing? Like, what are some good things, maybe some things to avoid as parents, and maybe even touch a little bit on like a youth coach aspect. So like you have a youth coach program or a youth sports program, and you're a coach, and what are some tips or maybe some things to avoid in navigating these relationships between the parents and the coaches that really puts the player first?
Yeah, I think going to the recruiting side, which you started with, is just I'm all for parents being involved in that. You know what I mean? It's a big decision in a kid's life. Now there's a fine line that I think parents need to dance on in terms of it is the player's career. So, I think our best recruiting stories or relationships definitely stem from like the parents asking the right questions in terms of like the team, the program, the culture, the vision, and what their son's going to be hit into. And then at the end of the day, accepting the fact that their son's got to walk through our doors every day. He better enjoy his experience and be able to live with the decision he made and enjoy the people here. That's something I express on every recruiting visit with families, and I think it really does matter. And then to the youth side of things, I think when you're coaching that level, for me, I think it always comes down to like what are you trying to get out of the group of players and the group of parents that you have. I think we've talked about it already on here. It's so wins and loss driven. Like, how can you make it about something bigger than that? You know what I mean? I think about just some of my experiences as a kid, and some of my best baseball moments were playing youth baseball and learning through failure and losing, and having to have a coach pick you up after that. Like, those are the moments that can go a really long way with kids. And I think we're also a little bit of an era where it's like when something doesn't want to work, you just kind of move on to the next team or the next coach or whatever. And I think if you as a coach have an ability to show that, hey, there's going to be some things that don't go our way or your way, but I am going to be in your corner and help you get out of it, man, that's playing the long game. You know what I mean? That's something we talk about a lot here at Missouri State. We've had 23 major league players. I think a big piece of it is a lot of those guys have been able to work through failure when they were here at Missouri State. So again, going back to my point, as a youth coach, man, if you could find something to center around what you want that summer or that team or that group of people to be about, that's just not transactional at all, right? And I think you'll be able to get the most out of those kids, which that's what coaching is. That's our job, right? Whether you're a youth coach or college coach or big league coach, it's about getting the most out of individuals.
My son, he's 7, and he's had a lot of learning opportunities this year just because they're playing kids that are higher competition level, but his coach has done a great job of finding the small wins of the effort, keep trying, keep working at it. So like to your point, and making it fun for him. Like we did like a little wiffle ball event for him, had an ice cream truck come, right? So making it memorable, even though the scoreboard maybe not like, but what are those little wins like you mentioned, and he's having a lot of fun doing it. So Joey, thank you, man, for joining us today. Appreciate that insight that you brought us in such a short little window here today. But any final words that before we wrap up that you'd like to end with, and also how can people learn more about yourself and the Missouri State baseball?
No, I think, look, if we're talking baseball or just youth sports in general, like, we need great coaches. We need people that are passionate about it. You don't need to be an expert, but if you can show kids that you're willing to work hard and, put your best foot forward and help a group of people, help a group of kids, and this sports industry could really use a lot of people like that. And I'll be the first to say, I'm on social media and I talk with youth coaches or high school coaches all the time. Reach out to me. I love to be a resource. Sometimes I learn from coaches who are high school coaches or whatever. We're all one big community. We're all trying to do the same thing, which just help kids develop and, become passionate about something. Twitter, Instagram, you name it, my email, reach out to me and I'm happy to circle back with people and answer some questions.
Sounds great, Joey. Appreciate your time, man. And Trevor, great show as always, and excited for some more guests we have coming up on the show. Make sure to follow Trevor on social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and share with the other coaches and parents that could use some of this information that we're bringing.
Yeah, today was great with Joey, head baseball coach at Missouri State University, and I'm going to be excited to watch this program develop over the next couple of years. You can just tell from our conversation today that with Joey Hawkins at the helm, they have the right person in place. And so if you're a parent of a young baseball athlete, keep Missouri State on the radar. This is going to be a place where I love that he mentioned from the get-go. It's like we want to hear what the athletes' goals are coming in, and we want to help them achieve those. And that's what it's all about. That's what this show is all about, is just helping everybody get better from Jason and I's experience. And like we said in the intro, bringing in the top minds, which Joey is definitely one of those. So be sure to check him out on social media. And if you have any questions to him or to us, please contact us and leave a comment. Jason and I are putting a lot of effort into these shows, and we would really appreciate any feedback that you guys have. So also be sure to check out 4dathletes.com. That's the number 4 letter D athletes.com. And check out our resources for parents, coaches, and athletes. Remember to follow 4D Athletes and Jason on social media as well. We have a lot of dynamic content coming your way, so be sure to tune in to the next one.
Well, Trev, hey, man, that's a wrap for this episode. If you liked the episode, make sure you give it 5 stars, leave a review. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Good stuff.